Welcome back to the course. In this module, we're going to be looking at coin forks. Okay, and we're going to be using Bitcoin as an example for this, primarily because you may have seen other types of Bitcoin variants. Okay, and you might be wondering, well, what is Bitcoin Cash? What is Bitcoin Diamond? What are all these different versions of the same thing all about? And that's what we're going to discuss in this module. So we're going to clear up exactly what is going on here when you see these different variants of coins. So then briefly, the contents. We're going to be explaining what a fork is, some examples, types of forks, because there are two versions of forking a coin. We're going to look at the history of Bitcoin's forks. We're going to look at why they happen, how they essentially duplicate coins, and then we're going to be looking at the risk factor for forking coins. So then, what is a fork? How do we visualize this? Well, as you can see on the screen, we've got a nice diagram there. Each block on that diagram is essentially a block on the blockchain of a certain coin. Okay, we're going to use Bitcoin as an example. So essentially a fork is the changing of Bitcoin's protocols. And this essentially creates, or could create, a completely new coin. Okay, and the original coin would remain. So in terms of we're going to look at the types of fork in a moment, but in terms of this particular fork, we're actually duplicating the coin, and while we're keeping the original, we're creating a new coin at the same time. Okay, so that is why we see different versions of Bitcoin. Essentially what has happened is it's a forking event has happened, and some developers or miners have grouped together and they've decided to change the protocols, the rules of Bitcoin, and so they've created a new coin. So then some examples, I briefly mentioned them just then. 2017, Bitcoin Cash was the first forked Bitcoin. Then we have Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin Diamond. Now, we're not necessarily going to go into what these offer, but they essentially have changed the fundamental values of Bitcoin in some way or another. It's too much of a significant change within Bitcoin to be accepted within the actual Bitcoin's network. And so what has happened is they've opted for the second version of Bitcoin fork, of a forking option, which is to actually duplicate the coin and go a separate way. So then, these types of forks that we have just been going over, a new coin or currency is created when a hard fork happens. Okay, the actual blockchain is duplicated and two new coins, or the new coin is created and the original remains. And then we have something called a soft fork. And a soft fork is essentially a change or alteration in the protocols of the existing coin. So as we're going to look at in the history of Bitcoin's forking, a lot of them were actually soft forks, okay, before Bitcoin Cash came along. And what happened was Bitcoin's protocols were improved some way or another for the better, and it was accepted by the network. So the change was allowed to operate and exist within the current original Bitcoin's protocols or algorithms, or whatever the change was, it was allowed to remain. So then, a history of Bitcoin's forking. As you can see, to the right of the screen, we have a number of different routes, and these represents a hard fork, okay, where a new coin has been created. Now on the left, we can see different alterations of the current Bitcoin, which means they are a soft fork, and they were just slight changes. Okay, so the 1 megabyte block size limit was a soft fork. Okay, however, the SegWit was a soft fork within Bitcoin's actual protocol. And then we can see Bitcoin Cash in the green. They decided to go for an 8 megabyte block size. Okay, so increasing that transaction volume by effectively 8 times. Now, this wasn't allowed to remain within the original Bitcoin, however, so they decided to hard fork Bitcoin's code and create a new coin. So then why does this happen? Well, it's simply the fundamentals are changing, okay, and the value offering is changing. And this is always done for the better, or because a group of individuals, coders, developers, miners, believe that something can be done better. That's all it is. So then, in terms of duplicating a coin, hard forks actually do allow you to duplicate coins, which does mean you duplicate the currency and the value of the currency. And you can essentially double the size of your account by doing this. Now you might think, well, why don't people do this all of the time? Well, it requires an incredible amount of effort and work. And these developers who decide to hard fork these coins, okay, come up with an incredible amount of resistance. And not only that, the coins may not even have any adoption, okay? And they must have adoption to hold the value. Because what could happen is they could essentially hard fork a coin with no adoption, with no other outside support. They could lose their entire value of their coin, their token. Okay, so these hard forks allow you to claim your original coins as duplicates on the new coin. Now, this has to be done manually. You don't automatically get given these, and because it's manual, there are inherent risks involved. Okay. So are forks risky? Yes, they are. In terms of claiming new coins, if you're inexperienced in transferring crypto from different wallets, you could very easily compromise the security of your wallet. However, there is a way potentially around this. Now, because you can have as many wallets as you want, what you could do, now this isn't necessarily sound advice, however, in theory, what you could do, okay, to reduce this risk of compromising your original investment, is you could send your original coins to a new wallet address. You could then claim the new forked coins onto your original wallet, and then you could send your forked coins into your new wallet. So you're essentially adding an extra layer of protection for your funds. Okay, now this is essentially what forking is. Okay, we're not going to get into the absolute details of how to fork a currency, because that is, again, just way too advanced for this course. All we need to do is learn about it, a little bit about what it is. We simply need to know that it exists and it can happen, and that when a coin is forked, what we're looking for is the value offering that new coin is presenting us. And if we believe as an investor that currency may perform better in the long term because of that fundamental change, then you can decide to invest if you wish. Okay, so that is essentially forking coins covered. So with that being said, I will see you in the next module where we're going to go over alternate coins.